Assalamu alaikum everybody. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Q and welcome to or welcome back to my YouTube channel. That sounded like so much attitude. Welcome to my YouTube channel, girl. Welcome to or welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today, inshallah, I am going to be coming at you guys with my all-time top tips on how to memorize the Quran. Listen, okay? 2024, you are gonna memorize the Quran by force. Stop giving yourself excuses. I don't have enough time. I don't know enough Arabic. I don't have Quran classes. I don't have a Quran buddy. Stop it, okay? Stop giving yourself excuses. At the end of the day, whatever you prioritize, you will make time for it. If it's a priority, you're gonna get it done. And I assume that it's a priority for you, okay? One could only assume. If my assumption is correct, which I'm sure it is because, you know, I mean, you did click on this video. But inshallah, guys, listen, 2024, we need to stop being lazy. And yes, that comes in terms with memorizing the Quran as well. And I feel like a lot of the time, people put the Quran as something so distant. Like, oh, the people that memorize the Quran, they're these type of people. Or I'm not, you know, this type of Muslim, so I can never. The Quran is never supposed to be that distant. The Quran is for everybody. It is for everybody that wants it. If you want it, it's for you. It doesn't matter, you know, your background or how good your Arabic is and if you could even speak Arabic. This is a little bit of tough love. I don't say this in the sense where I'm judging. I'm saying it where I just want you to be motivated. Get up and pick up your Quran and start reading, and your day will be filled with so much barakah. Oh my God. Anyways, that's skipping. Let's start the video, okay, guys? Here are my top 6 tips for memorizing the Quran and how you're gonna have the best year ever with your Quran memorization. Let's go. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I actually have 7 tips. Oh, golly. You know what? Technically, I have 7 tips because I have another thing I'm add. First things first, the thing I talk about all the time, but I definitely need to re-emphasize in every video, especially when it comes to memorizing the Quran, is your intentions. Purify your intentions, okay? Why are you doing it? Q, why are you memorizing the Quran? Am I memorizing the Quran to flex and say, oh my God, I memorized that surah, you know? Or am I memorizing the Quran so people look at me like, oh my God, Shimmy, you memorized the Quran? Like, you memorized that? Oh my God, girl, okay. Like, I feel like a lot of the time our intentions could get sidetracked, and your intention is everything, guys. You get rewarded based off of your intention, even if you don't do it. If you guys make the intention right now, I'm going to memorize the Quran for the sake of Allah, and you end up, you know, not opening the Quran today, you are going to be getting rewarded based off of what your intention was. That's the first hadith I learned bar for bar. I believe that was narrated by Umar ibn Khattab in Bukhari. Wow, Chimmy, why did you do that? Are you trying to flex? Oh, you think you know something, right? You're gonna post it on YouTube? What is your intention behind saying that? Well, you know, okay. Yeah, my intention was to say that I memorized that hadith. And to be fair, I bought a hadith book because I was in my era of, oh my God, I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna be a alim, I mean, I'm still in that era, but that was the first hadith I memorized, and then it was also the last because I didn't get back to that book. Shame on me, I need to get back to that book. But anyways, you get the point, right? You're judged on your intentions in Islam, and that is the beautiful part about being Muslim, because if you know you have the right intentions and you put your heart in the right place, by all means Allah is going to do only what's best for you. And I think a lot of the time with intentions, the shaitan might come and try to convince you that your intention isn't good, so you shouldn't do it anyways. That in itself is a trick from shaitan, because if shaitan can get you to not recite the Quran, for example, or to not even do another good deed, even outside of memorizing Quran, if the shaitan can get you to not do something, he already won the battle. If he's deterring you from doing something that is good for you. But even if you feel like maybe my intentions aren't the best, redo your intentions anyways, hope for the best, and still do that good deed, because that will be the one thing that actually draws a lot of people away from doing what is good, because they have it in the back of their head that, man, I'm not doing it for the right reasons, I'm not going to give zakat, or I'm not going to do sunnah prayer. Intentions are going to be another video, okay guys? But just remember, tip number 1, when you are memorizing the Quran, have a clear conscience and have a clear goal as to why you want to do it. Q, inshallah, why you're memorizing the Quran is so you can relate to it whenever you read it. Is so you can have benefit in your life in this world and in the next, so you could increase your status in this world and the next, and so, you know, you can honor your parents if you are to finish memorizing the Quran. You know, finishing memorizing the Quran is such a status for your parents. So if you can give your parents that crown on the Day of Judgment, that means everything. If I keep thinking that before I even open the Quran, and like, this is so much bigger than me. By all means, Allah is gonna reward me based off of that. Okay guys, so now moving on to tip number 2, make a goal for yourself, make a game plan, and stick to it. Now, one thing I definitely did in the past that was not worth it and did not work in my favor was setting huge goals for myself that were not realistic. And if you know anything about me, I'm overly optimistic. Like, it's not like I set those goals and I genuinely believe I can't do it. If I set a goal that I'm going to memorize 5 pages, I genuinely believe I could do it. Now, whether I can or not is another story. But if I genuinely set that goal, I'm really thinking, you know what, Jimmy? You could do it, girl. What's 5 pages? You could do it. Only to figure I can't do it. But anyways, guys, set realistic goals for yourself. If you know that you are working so much and you're not going to have as much time to sit down for maybe 2-3 hours every single day consistently, don't say, I'm going to, you know, memorize my Quran and I'm going to only do it for, I'm going to do it for 3 hours every single day, XYZ. That sounds good, right, in essence, but if it's not in practice, it's nothing. Set a realistic goal. If you have a busy schedule, if you're a student, whatever your time permits, let's say 30 minutes every single day. 30 minutes, you block it out. You block everything off. You turn off your phone. You know, you're not near anything that would, you know, perhaps take your attention away. You're sitting with your Quran and whatever helps you with your Quran only. And you're saying, you know what, 30 minutes is my goal. I'm just going to open the Quran and try to memorize for 30 minutes, okay? Now, whether in this 30 minutes you memorize half an ayah, whether in this 30 minutes you memorize, you know, half a line, that is still progress if you're doing that every single day consistently, versus the person that says they're going to memorize, you know, XYZ and they're going to take 3 hours every single day only to do it one day and then leave it the next. Allah loves consistency, guys, even if it's the smaller things. If you're consistent in the small stuff, that's what's going to add to you getting, you know, something bigger. Baqarah was not memorized in a day. That's my version of Rome wasn't built in a day, y'all. Baqarah was not memorized in a day, okay? Oh, you know what? No, let me not do Baqarah. I'm going to say Tawbah was not memorized in a day. If it's my case, it was memorized in 365 days. That's another story, guys. Be consistent and inshallah, you will be fruitful. But if you're setting these amazing, huge goals for yourself and you're not living up to it, you can't do that like 2 days straight. You have to maybe retouch on some of your goal points. A lot of the time, I find that when you're consistent, you say, okay, I'm going to do 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, or maybe an ayah every single day. You add that up. By the time you realize that, like, the whole month passes by, you memorized so much, or so much more than you would have memorized had you not even been consistent in the beginning, right? So definitely have a plan of how you want to memorize. Have a plan of how much you want to memorize a day and how much time you could put forth. A lot of the time, guys, Shaitan is going to get us through our time, okay? He's going to say, listen, memorizing the Quran sounds good. Sounds real good. You don't have the time. You're a mom, okay? You're working, or you're a dad, you're working, you go to school, you have this activity, you have that activity. Let me tell you why Shaitan needs to sit down, okay? Sit down and don't talk to us, okay? Don't talk to us over here, because we know your tricks, devil. Let me tell you something. The Quran puts so much barakah in my time. If I were to sit here and list to you every single thing that I'm doing right now in my life, like in terms of activities and like work and just, you know, side things that I'm doing, even hobbies, and the fact that I still made time for the Quran, that is only showing how Allah will only add barakah to your time if you make the effort to make priority what He loves, which is the Quran. Listen, 2024, tricks of the devil, it's not gonna work around here. I'm telling you right now, some of your tricks might work. Some of those tricks might work. Some of those tricks will work because we're not perfect. But when it comes to the Quran, sit down, okay? You go on and you get a seat. And honestly, guys, it really doesn't matter how big or how small your goal is. Don't look at what the next person is doing and compare yourself. Like, you're memorizing a line a day. This person is memorizing half a page. This person is memorizing a page. This person is memorizing 2 pages. That's not your business, okay? I'm so sorry, but that's not your business. Don't worry about what anybody else is memorizing. Worry about you even starting to memorize and being consistent. Because it could be that the person that memorizes 1 page a day or 2 pages a day, or I'm not gonna lie, guys, I used to be in that category. I would memorize like 2-3 pages a day. This was like a very long time ago. And I would get it. Like, you know, I could memorize it in a few hours, I'll be done, I could recite it, but then I go back to it a month and a half later and I find myself rememorizing it, okay? Versus the person that memorized, let's say, a line a day, 2 lines, whatever, you know, amount, and then years later, the review is very strong. Because guys, at the end of the day, if you're not reviewing, what is the memorization? It kind of like is a bit pointless, right? Because you're memorizing something that you're not retaining. Make sure that your goal is realistic, and then by all means, if you find that maybe you have enough time or you even have more motivation, add whatever you feel is realistic. Keyword realistic. Not anything that's not realistic. 2-3 pages actually might be realistic for some people. Like when my sister was in hifz school, she would be memorizing I think 2 pages a day, but babes, all they were doing all day was memorizing Quran. Okay, them kids, like, their curriculum was Quran. School was on the side. Listen, everybody has what they can do, what they can't do. Key thing for all of us to do is to stick to what we can do personally. Now, my third tip for you guys to have an amazing Quran memorization routine in 2024 is to have a Quran teacher. And if you don't have a Quran teacher, to have a Quran buddy, just somebody that you can rely on when it comes to reviewing your memorization and everything that falls in between. Now, there was a period of time where I did not have a Quran teacher and I was still memorizing. Now, I'm not saying it's not doable and you can't do it. Of course, by all means, it is doable. But the thing is, when you're memorizing and you're only relying on yourself, you could perhaps be making a lot of mistakes, like whether it's with the actual pronunciation, you know, the words that you're mixing up, or tajweed, anything within that spectrum. If you're making a mistake, it will be a lot better for you if another person is there to sit in and listen and be like, okay, you said inna ladina kafaru. No, it's not kafaru, babes. Inna ladina amanu, right? So it's so good when you have that person. Now for me, alhamdulillah, I do have that in a Quran teacher, where I'm not gonna move on in my memorization if whatever I previously memorized is not good. So definitely, if you can, and I know it's easier for some people over, you know, other people, but if you can, if you definitely can, please try to find a Quran teacher, and also try to find a Quran buddy as well. I think having both is the best combination. Right now, I only have a Quran teacher, unfortunately. I do need to find a Quran buddy, but a Quran buddy will hold you accountable. The only thing is you have to make sure that you guys aren't slacking off together, because it was like that for me in the past, where my Quran buddy was a friend. So like, listen, I'm supposed to memorize this page, I didn't do it, and she's like, girl, it's okay because I didn't do mine either, so let's just review, you know. Like, be with somebody that holds you accountable. I find that when my Quran buddies are a lot older than me, I don't mess around because I'm not trying to waste their time. Like, homegirl has 5 kids and she has so much more going on in her life than me, only for me to call her and be like, hey, I didn't memorize today, you know. Hold yourself accountable, but also hold your Quran buddy accountable as well. As I keep reiterating, you know, I know a lot of these things are easier said than done, but if by all means you cannot find a Quran buddy, although that should be your mission, find somebody. If you can't, what I have been doing in the past as well is to get your voice note app, record yourself reciting your new memorization, and then listen back to yourself. Only this time when you're listening back, you're gonna be looking at the Quran and then you're gonna be marking your mistakes. Just go to your voice memo app, record yourself memorizing your recently memorized verses without looking, of course. After you do that, you're gonna open your Quran, look in the Quran, and then just basically listen to yourself and mark along if you have any mistakes, or if you're clear to go, then that would be a sign that you could continue memorizing. But that is a tip for you guys if you don't have anybody and it will be a bit harder for you to find somebody. But definitely make it a goal and intention to find somebody, because it will only be beneficial, and it's so much more motivational, I find, and enjoyable when you have people around you that are doing the same thing, versus you being the only person you know that is memorizing Quran. Tip number 4 is to find a reciter that you love reciting or mimicking after, and then follow them in their recitation. Okay, now a lot of the time when a person is memorizing, it could be, depending on which surah, you know, which ayahs you're memorizing, it could be challenging when you're only following the tune of your own voice, because it could be a bit repetitive, right? Whether it's, you know, surahs that repeat a lot of the same ayahs, like Ar-Rahman, for example, it could be a bit challenging to keep up with, okay, what comes next, especially if you don't know the meaning behind it. So one thing that I definitely love, and for many reasons, more than one, is listening to a reciter trying to mimic their voice to the best of my ability when I'm memorizing. So I find that this definitely helps me keep track of the ayahs that are to come next, and it also makes the Quran a lot more enjoyable to recite, guys. All of us want to have a beautiful, amazing, you know, voice when we recite the Quran. It's so motivating when we are in Ramadan and we hear people recite, and you can have that for yourself. But I think one of the steps to have that is to also mimic what has already been done. MashaAllah, there are so many beautiful reciters out there. Abdul Basit is definitely one that has grown on me, although I haven't memorized with him. I just like to listen to him. But Abdul Basit is one. Okasha, I memorized a few surahs with him. His voice is amazing. However, Shatri and Ghamidi are the top two people that I memorized the Quran with, guys. So their voices are very easy to follow along. You're not doing a lot of, you know, the like, you know, the ups and the downs. You're not doing too much of that. Their tone is, you know, the perfect pitch for whatever tone voice you already have naturally. And on top of that, they recite in a slow and steady pace. So you're not finding the reciter going too fast where it's hard for you to catch up, or too slow where it's kind of like you feel like it's dragging along. It will also make you look forward to memorizing, guys. Like there are certain pages where Shatri or Ghamidi says something so beautiful and I'm like, I cannot wait to recite that. I can't wait to get to that surah. Specifically, guys, I'm on Hud right now, but inshallah when I get to Yusuf, I'm just gonna switch up to Ghamidi, because Ghamidi has an amazing voice when it comes to reciting Yusuf. So does Abdul Basit. Abdul Basit, to be fair, like, I don't really memorize with him. He's a bit too slow for me, but Ghamidi has a very beautiful voice, especially when reciting Surah Yusuf. So I'm looking forward to reciting Yusuf with him, you see. Now, one thing I will note is that don't rely on the reciter for you to get all of your pronunciation from. No, that's just a way in which you can memorize and, you know, make your memorization more enjoyable. However, it is your responsibility to look in the Quran and read the tajweed rules, the letters, you know, is this fatha, is this dhamma, is this kasra. Like, you have to be able to differentiate between that. Don't only solely rely on the reciter and like, oh, the reciter said this way, so I'm gonna recite it this way. You have to also look in the Quran so your tajweed and your pronunciation for the words could be correct in itself, right? Don't just memorize with like, oh, I listened to this surah 1,000 times and I memorized it. Yeah, I mean, you could have memorized the surah that way, but you also might have a lot of mistakes because you're only repeating after what it sounds like, not necessarily what you read. So that is definitely one of the tips that will help benefit your memorization this year and will make your recitation a lot more enjoyable. Now, another tip for you guys is to repeat your recently memorized verses all the time, okay? I'm not just talking about you only repeat it when you're actually in the process of memorizing. There are so many opportunities throughout the day to repeat your memorized verses. The first one, of course, that comes to mind is when we pray, okay? We pray 5 times a day minimum, and every single one of the prayers, guys, you can easily just say a few of the ayahs that you memorized, that you remember, and that will help keep it in your mind and keep refreshing it in your brain. Like, okay, this is how this surah goes, this is how it goes. Like, when you have that in your head where, okay, I'm gonna recite whatever I recently memorized, you also, you know, add a little bit more surahs under your belt when you're praying, which is good, instead of sticking to like the 3 surahs that I stick to. Don't be like me, okay? Be better than me. I want y'all to be better than me, okay? Because when you're better, I'm gonna get the deeds for you being better. If you're at least listening to what I'm saying. I hope you do, so I can rack up. Okay, so moving on to the next step, and guys, I have to say this is probably one of the most important steps. If you did not want to listen to anything I said today, well, actually no, you have to listen to everything, okay? Everything goes. I was trying to make it like, oh, you have to listen to this one thing. You do have to listen to this one thing, but you also have to listen to the step where you have to be consistent, or else it's like this one thing doesn't matter. If you had to take away everything I said and only keep 2 things, keep the first thing I said, which was, what did I say? Drum roll. You're supposed to be saying it right now. What did I say? Drum roll. I'm happy you said it because I forgot. So one of the first things I said was to have a goal and to be consistent with it, right? After that step, the other thing that you have to definitely crucially keep in mind is to review. Don't be one of those people that memorize, aka Chimmy Cute. I'm putting myself on the spot, okay? Don't be like me 5 years ago memorizing a surah only to forget it because I didn't care to review and all I wanted to do was memorize. Babes, what are you doing? What are you doing? I would like to know what you're doing. What are you racing against? Review. This is your sign to review. Don't just keep memorizing without any review, guys. Your review is what retains your memorization, or else you're just spending all that hard work of sitting down and putting all this time aside and repeating ayahs and listening to all of these reciters only to forget it the next day. No, we have to review every single thing that we memorize, guys. Now, there are so many different methods as to how you can review. I believe, do I have it on my YouTube? I probably don't have a full video specifically in detail about my review, but ideally you should be reciting back, you know, a few pages, you know, that you have already memorized. So let's say I memorized the full Juz Amma and now I'm moving on to just Tabarak. I should be reviewing every single day. By the way, I'm saying every single day, right? Listen, if you forget the Quran is going to forget you. I don't want the Quran to forget me. I want the Quran to remember my name. Jimmy Q used to open me and recite me every single day, okay? That's what I want the Quran to say about me, if the Quran could talk. Memorization, I don't do memorization every day. I do it from Monday to Friday. However, when it comes to review, that is an everyday thing. If you could pick an amount to be consistent in every single day, guys, I'm not saying, you know, once or twice a day. No, every single day, choose an amount that you can be consistent in and stick to it. Whether it's reviewing 2 pages every single day, 5 pages, 1 juz, 10 pages, try to stick to that every single day, because that is what's going to allow you to remember and have your mind constantly keep getting refreshed about what you already memorized. So what I like to do when I review is to look in the Quran sometimes, or other times I don't like to look in the Quran. This is where a Quran buddy comes in handy as well, because you can recite, you know, your review to your Quran buddy, and then they can tell you, okay, listen, you said you pronounced the fatha here, it's supposed to be a kasra, or you said it this way, it's supposed to be that way. You know, that's why a Quran buddy is very important, guys. Back to that other step. But in general, guys, let's not forget anything that we memorized in 2024, guys. Let's retain it for however many years to come, inshallah. So I used to review 20 pages every single day, and then I got realistic with myself. I said, yeah, it's nice that you're reviewing a juz every day, but you're not being consistent. So what did I do? I said, Jimmy Q, you know what to do. You're gonna downsize. So now I review 10 pages, okay? I'm not gonna lie. If I didn't do Quran the whole day and I think to myself, man, let me go review 20 pages, I'm so sorry. I'm not gonna do it. I'm so sorry. If I'm not motivated, I won't do it. But if I say I didn't do Quran the whole day and I'm like, let me do 10 pages, I will do it, okay? Something about 10 versus 20, I'll do 10. But when I'm telling myself I have to sit and do a whole 20 pages, when I'm already not motivated, I'm less likely to do it. Now that's me just being real with myself, okay? I really wish I could sit up here and say, every single day, no doubt, I get up and I review my 20 pages. Of course, I love doing Quran, but I'm not gonna lie, I get lazy sometimes. Sometimes I just don't want to review 20 pages. Some days I don't want to review at all, if I'm being honest, okay? But I have to, because it's my maintenance. If I don't do it today, what's stopping me from not doing it tomorrow? What's stopping me from not doing the whole week, the whole month, the whole year? Never. Oh my God, Allah, please don't let me ever be that level where I don't ever do my Quran. Ameen, ya Rabbil Alameen. That's never gonna happen. With the grace of God, with the power of God, that won't happen to any of us. But you lack one day, you will be so amazed how far the devil could drag things. You know, the devil, I could say some things about him. He definitely don't like us. That's what I'm gonna say. What were you saying? Okay, I was saying something about review. Yes, don't neglect your review, guys. If you neglect the Quran will forget you, okay? The Quran is very high maintenance. You know, a lot of the time we think about the Quran as something that's just there and like, oh, the Quran is lucky I made time for it. Babes, no, you are lucky that Allah allowed you to think about opening the Quran, okay? You have to constantly open the Quran for reassurance for yourself, but the Quran requires so much from you. And it's actually very beautiful if you think about it. If you could just read half a page, if you're not even confident in, you know, how you're reading in Arabic, read the transliteration or read the meaning. Do something just to open it, and there will be so much barakah in your day. That's going to be another topic, guys, the barakah Quran brings to you, because it does bring a lot, okay? A lot. For those of you who say you don't have enough time, not even enough time to memorize the Quran, but enough time to do whatever it is that you need to do, 2 tips: wake up after Fajr, and second tip, do Quran. Recite Quran, even if it's a page a day, guys. Your day will be expanded with barakah. But that's to another note. Okay, guys, my final tip. Are you guys ready for my final tip? Drum roll. My final tip for you guys is to never give up. Don't ever give up on the Quran. Don't, do you guys understand what I'm saying? Don't you ever give up. Don't you ever give up on your journey with the Quran. Let me tell you why. One scenario I could definitely share with you guys when I was memorizing, and I'm still memorizing, but specifically when I was memorizing Surah Tawbah. Can I just tell you guys how much wahala and stress that surah gave me? I was memorizing that surah for a year. Coming from somebody who was memorizing 2 pages at a point and then 1 page every single day, it took me a year to memorize that surah. And subhanAllah, I feel like Allah was really trying to tell me, listen, slow down. What are you racing against? When I tell you guys that I actually was not motivated, because every single time I would memorize a page, the next day for some reason I would forget it, and then I would have to rememorize it, or just me not being able to get an ayah down. And I don't know what it was about Surah Tawbah. If you're just patient with yourself and realize that even when I'm struggling, through my trial, through the struggling itself, I'm getting rewarded. You know, Allah says that when you recite the Quran, you get rewarded. Even when you're struggling, you get rewarded even more. It's the effort that you put forth that really counts, guys. So whether it's reciting something so many times you're not getting it, or you feel like, you know what, I am unable to memorize this certain amount, or reading Arabic, it's just very hard for me, guys. There's barakah in the struggle. Allah is so merciful, subhanAllah. The fact that He put so much barakah in how much we struggle, because nothing good is gonna come easy. Like, you want this? Do you want to memorize this? Whether your goal is to memorize the whole thing, a page, a surah, whatever, it's not going to come easy. And that just goes to show you how amazing it is, how fruitful it will be for you. Don't be hard on yourself. Be easy on yourself. Not in the sense where you're allowing yourself to slack off, but in the sense where you're allowing yourself to make mistakes. Ihsan. You know that word? I love it so much. Because Allah really takes His time with everything. Allah is the Lord of perfection. Like, even I was talking about this the other day, but like the fact that Allah took, I believe, 7 days or 8 days to create the entire universe, the heavens, to create the heavens and the earth, it's not even like He couldn't do it in 1 day or like 1 second, or Him saying kun fayakun and then automatically everything is, you know, created. But I believe one of the scholars was saying how it could be that Allah was trying to teach us to do things with ihsan and to take our time. And so how Allah took His time creating the universe and creating everything from A to Z, you know. We should look at that and try to apply ihsan into our own lives, specifically when memorizing the Quran. I don't want to just memorize it and get it done. No, I want to memorize a page with ihsan. Whether that means I'm memorizing it for a year, 2 years, 5 years. There's no, what is the word? There's no competition. You're not competing against anybody. And I think that's something that took me a long time to get over, because in my head I was supposed to memorize the Quran a long time ago, but then I thought about it, I'm like, who are you racing against? I don't know who I was racing against, but I felt like there was somebody that's like, oh, I have to finish it, I have to. But what is the benefit of even finishing the Quran if you're not even reviewing, you're not even retaining anything? And beyond review, if you're not even retaining anything, like in terms of what it's actually saying, you know? And one of the beautiful things about Surah Al-Asr is that it talks about how we're literally always in a competition and a race with time. So yeah, guys, it's not really about, what do they say? It's not about the end, it's the journey, something like that. Like, the Quran will take you on a journey. I honestly feel like I've been through a journey with Surah Tawbah, with Hud. Oh my god, so many of the ayahs in Surah Hud, the stories that I'm even reading while I'm memorizing, like I'm reading a little bit of it as well, the story of behind Hud, and a lot of the stories in it I didn't even know. I was like, whoa, like I didn't realize that Allah added like all these prophets in that surah. Like there are 2 pages where like there's at least 10 prophets listed, you know. And I'm like, subhanAllah, I didn't know about that. Had I not opened the Quran to memorize and even read whatever, you know, the portion is that I memorized, I wouldn't have known these stories. You know, I think a lot of the time when people quote the Quran, they always quote specific parts that we all know about, but there are so many other beautiful parts in the Quran that don't get enough love and attention. And maybe that's so you can discover it on your own. But then again, that moment will only come to you if you're patient with yourself and you take the first step in reading. That is my tip for all of us to have a successful journey when memorizing the Quran starting this year. And beyond, inshallah. If only, I really pray that it's something that we can benefit from this year, and you know, only increase in benefit for the years to come. Always have the Quran in the forefront of your mind, because it's only a benefit for you, inshallah. I will have more Quran videos coming out. I believe my next one will be about review, so I think I'll just talk about my, or you know what, actually maybe I'll talk about what I learned from Surah Hud, because there's an ayah I love so much from Hud. It's like, how does it go? Man, how does the ayah go? It's like, قال سآوي إلى جبل يعصمني من الماء قال لا عاصم اليوم من أمر الله إلا من رحم وحال بينهما الموج فكان من المغرقين. I love that so much. It's about Nuh basically begging his son to come in the ship with him, and his son is saying like, I will be protected, like Qala Sa'awi, I will seek refuge on the mountain, Ila Jabali Yasimuni min al-ma, it will save me from the water. And then Nuh alayhi salam literally cries out. The ayah says cries. It literally used the word cry. It says Nuh cries out, there's no saving today except by Allah's mercy. And then the waves overtook him. SubhanAllah, the Quran is such a story. I just love that ayah so much, because if you can try your best to save somebody, even the closest to you, you can try your best to guide them. If Allah doesn't want to give it to them, you can't do anything about that. And sometimes you just have to sit, there in the qadr of Allah. You just have to sit there and humble yourself to know that you're not in control of anything, even the people the closest to you. SubhanAllah. But stuff like this, it only comes to you, and the deep feeling of it only comes to you when you open the Quran, you know, and when you give yourself a chance to even understand, like, what is Allah trying to tell me in this moment? Because the Quran, it's not for people back then. It's not stories. No, the Quran is literally for today. Like, there's so many ways in which I can relate to Nuh or Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or every prophet that was mentioned. You know, Allah is very meticulous. He's very exact. He doesn't mention anything for fun. Everything is there for a reason. But that's a side note. I feel like this video is very long. Inshallah, I will be coming back with more videos. Inshallah, take care. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you have any Quran tips for me as well, please leave it in the comment section. We can all benefit from it, inshallah. But take care. Assalamu alaikum.